All right, guys, give me 1 second here. I'm doing another quick live feed. As everyone can imagine, my phone is blowing up like no tomorrow. A lot of people calling out to me. Um, Good news, I had some guy reach out to me with one of the major companies. They're going to hire one of our retired members, it looks like, as a head super for a company, which is going to be a big plus for us. Hopefully this works out great. I'm happy to be the one to help that connection happen. And um, I got off the phone with him, and he was telling me that, it's important that we get the right people to run work. And, this guy's an older gentleman, this guy Mike, and my fingers crossed this all works out, that we will get this together. This is going to be key, because we got to start getting our supers and guys in the business. I believe this guy Mike has 50 years as a dock builder in the union, which is very impressive. I got a copy of his resume. I couldn't believe it. And I met Mike many years ago, briefly on different jobs, but he's got a lot of connections with the MTA, Port Authority. So, but he's a true union guy, and he's been around the business for a long time. He's got cousins and nephews and stuff still in the business. So hopefully make this connection will be awesome for us, right? And we'll, having our supers on a job like that and getting a guy like that, I believe he's in his 70s now, Mike, but having him train the next generation and building those connections are key. Like I tell you guys, helping you guys get to work helps me in a way, right? It helps me build these companies up and helps build these supers, and that's how we all look good at the end of the day. So major thing today. I'm happy that all came to tuition, so I'm happy this is going to work out for us. With that being said, the questions that are coming in, guys. We got the podcast set up, but clearly there's so many of these questions that are coming in. I'll never make it to the podcast. So the podcast will have to be 3 hours long to do all this stuff. So my first podcast person, I'm probably going to start it off again with Mike Biello, the one I did last. I'm former EST to council, 50-year member. I think next month he becomes 50 years. I don't know, for you guys who don't know Mike and guys who have met him, Mike's very respected. He was a dock builder for years, worked in the trades. Worked his way up as foreman, shop steward. He was a business agent for years, worked with labor management, became DST. Very, very instrumental in the union, probably one of the most knowledgeable guys I've ever dealt with in the union. His reputation speaks for itself. So, with that being said, let's get to some of these questions. Guys, if you want to, you're more than welcome to text in some questions, and anything you want to ask me, feel free to do so. I got my thing on here on the other side so I can read any questions that pop up. All right. So the questions need to be asked yourself about the merger, right? And how will it affect you and your family on this consolidation, right? The word consolidation, guys, it's what we're calling the word salad, right? Remember they were telling you the consent decree was going on the shelf back in the last election? I was saying there was going to be a merger. Now they're going to call it consolidation, merger, same thing, all right? The guys that I've spoken to throughout the country, guys through Philly and Ohio, and guys in Chicago, they're all telling me the same thing. Listen, the format for this was they're looking to get the pension plans. Nationally, there's the priority that they had with the international. They've had a meeting, and there's about 20 pension plans out there. Their plan thing is, and which they say in the paperwork, right, to the international, is merging it down to 4 or 5 pensions, right? So that's their plan throughout the country. They want to have 4 to 5 plans. They want to have the money consolidated together. They were able to pull this off when Steve McGinnis was there. Steve helped to get the consent decree away from the pension plan and the benefit funds away from the consent decree. So there is no margin now protecting us from that happening. I tried to explain that to you guys in the last election, how that was all working. This is what they go to court. They had a meeting. We didn't get a status meeting with the judge. They fought that. Barbara Jones with Glenn McGoody, they worked it all out. We didn't get a status meeting like we've had in the past when we had with Dennis Schwal. So members never got to speak up. Members got to mail letters in. The letters went to the executive boards that were given to the judge. Obviously, I'm assuming they said there was only a couple of people who made a complaint. It was all whitewashed, and they did what they needed to do, right? So, some of the stuff that's being told out there, guys are being told that the building can't be sold because it's part of the consent decree. That is a complete lie, guys. The building belongs to the pension fund. The pension fund owns it. Whether people want to believe it or not, the school owns the part of the building downstairs, so the pension fund would have to buy out the school, and that would move on. Now, what makes me think this is going on, besides the people that are telling me this? Guys, look for yourself. They fixed up the lobby. They're fixing up the bathrooms. They are planning to move everything in the building from the 9th floor and everything from the 1st floor to the 4th floor. We have a complete empty 4th floor of the building, and I'm guaranteeing you this is what the protocol is. They're moving it so when they do sell the building, they'll just lease that 4th floor out. Okay. I got information about them leasing a building in Queens with a parking garage behind it. I am working on the address of that building right now to clarify more what's going on. So that tells me when they have this building, this is prepping us to let us know that their plans will be down the road to sell our building. Okay. The only thing they're going to need is a trustee vote. So the trustees will have control of it. It'll belong to the pension plan when this happens. This will be far out of reach when that happens. That's what it is. They're telling you now, guys, that they're going to, this is what this consolidation / merger is. They're telling you that now our funds that are 98% funded, that this merger is going to be done for consolidation because they're going to save you money on all the clerical costs that are involved in it, right? And by doing this, they're going to get you a bigger dollar value on your pension. That's what they're telling you, right? Now, the problem with this is you got to look through the red tape, right? You got to see what I'm telling you guys and do your own homework, right? Look around the country. Look at other people. Go read the sites. Get out there. Ask questions. This is your livelihood, guys. This is very, very important. I'm here to tell you. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I'm here to tell you what you need to fucking know, okay? So they're going to tell you these funds that are 98% funded, that now they're coming in and that they're going to make these mergers to get us more money. The question I ask is, we're going to merge this with funds that are 73% funded, and I'll get into that in a second, okay? Because it's something else you got to think about when you got to ask your questions when you're at your meetings. They're going to merge us with these funds, right? And our return is we're going to get a higher pension credit. Why aren't we getting that now? Why aren't we giving the cost of, if we have all this money, why aren't we saving money on our clerical costs now? Why do we have to merge with this other fund to get it done? Okay. Now the other question you got to ask yourself is, these funds that we're merging with, right? They were, a lot of these funds through Vermont, Pennsylvania, they were shored up under this American Rescue Plan Act, right? That Biden put in. And it shored these things up. So these things were in the red, right? These funds were going under, and Biden kicked in and came in and rescued these funds, right? The problem with these areas are, what was done to increase the market share in those areas? Nothing. The Vermont doesn't have more work. The parts of Pennsylvania don't have more work. So these funds will slowly trickle back down, right? So they know they're never going to get another federal bailout like that again. So what are they going to do? What are they going to dump in there to keep this all leveled? The New York City District Council Company pension plan. Dump our money into it, right? Transfer our $9 billion over they're talking about. So we shore up the plan. That's a problem, you know. The medical is a major problem. Guys, everywhere you look, Seattle, talk to the guys out there. They cut their medical out. You know, they're cutting out the banked hours. You guys that are working at the Javits, the guys that are out there. Your 840 credits right now, that's going to be gone, you know. You know, you look at these guys in Jersey, you know, 1,300 hours, 1,600 hours to get a credit. It's going to be remember, when this merger goes through, you open the doors up, right? Everyone's going to be working the area. You're bringing contractors in, you know, and under these agreements that we have, they're coming in full boat. They're bringing their own guys in, you know. But we're barely policing the work we have now. You know, when that happens, and, you know, even these guys at the council, they're going to be out of jobs. You know, the guys that are down there, they've already set themselves up with the honeypot deal, right? You got guys that are out in Jersey that are looking to take over when they're going to give the dock builders to the Jersey locals, right? So all our Jersey dock builders, your Jersey jurisdiction will no longer be part of the New York City District Council carpenters. And with that, we're giving those hundreds and hundreds of millions of man hours that we would have generated into our pension plan over the next decade or so to New Jersey, okay? That shortage of hours alone is going to tank our pen. It's going to tank our medical. Listen, our investments will hold us above water for a short period of time, but we're going to hemorrhage. We're going to hemorrhage those numbers, you know. It's, you know, to give that up, I don't understand. When did giving things up ever make you more money? It doesn't make sense, especially our building generates cash, you know. I think we had some proposal put together back in the day. They had 19 stories to the building that's down there. You know, my opinion, we should be reinvesting in ourselves, right? We should be adding that 19 stories to the building, putting like a hotel or something on top of it, using that, generate that money, make it half hotels, restaurants, whatever we can put up there. get someone like a Cushion and Whirlfield to invest with us. Give them a percentage of what the building brings in, and use that offset to put it towards cost of living increases for our future retirees. We got retirees out there that are living on smaller incomes. We have widowers that are living on smaller incomes. That's what we should be focusing on. We should be focused on taking care of our own. Listen, I want to help my brothers and sisters in other parts of the country too, but I don't want to shoot myself in the foot doing it. A lot of these leadership people that you put in there, a lot of them had Cadillac plans. You got guys like Joe Geiger and these guys. They got 3-4 pensions, guys. They got officer pensions, tool pensions, international pensions. These guys are walking away pretty nice payouts, man. I mean, 5-6 times what the average carpenter makes in a pension plan. So, they're going to lean in the direction that puts them over the top. They're not looking out for us. They lied to you about the consent decree. They lied to you about the merger. They lied to you about the B-rated to the wall and ceiling when they had Mike Roden vote that in. This is all stuff that I warned you guys about. I told you what they were going to do with the 39 hours with the shop suits. They lied to you about that. They talked about this thing with the apprenticeship. They were all stuff with the wall and ceiling. Look, the wall and ceiling was trying to get us to where the implement the raises would be less. I understand. We're paying big figures out for a first-year apprentice, $25 an hour. So they wanted to give micro interest payments. So instead of like the 20%, they wanted to give like an 80 cent raise, and then have the big raise at fourth year. But you apprentices out there and you mechanics out there who did your apprenticeship, what happens to most of the fourth-year apprentices on the job when you turn fourth year? What is the number one thing they do to most of the fourth-year apprentices? Lay you the fuck off. So they were trying to set this up. But, listen, we won in the arbitration. Thank God we got that, I don't think they really did a lot of fighting. It just, the papers we always looking at, it's like, listen, there's not even an argument here. You signed the contract. You can't sign a contract and file an arbitration right afterwards. So they lost that. There's talks about increasing the hours to the provisional. Now, I don't know if that's going to affect the apprentices or the new people they're bringing in as provisionals. To me, that's a major problem. Because if you raise this 5,000 hours, that's 15,000 hours to make you a certified journeyman, okay? Guys, I'm just doing basic math here. I know some guys do more hours, some guys do less, but let's just say that's 1,500 hours a year. That would be 15 years before you become a certified carpenter, right? That's if you started with your apprenticeship and everything added through. And if you're a non-union guy and you come in, but you can document your hours prior to getting in the union, those hours can be contributed to it, and you can use those hours, right? But some guys don't have all that paperwork, and they don't make that process easy on you. Believe me when I tell you, they're not going to make it easy on you. So by doing that, that's going to extend a lot of these guys. You got a guy that comes into the union and he's 30 years old. He's not going to be a journeyman until he's 45. There's companies out there that don't even want you at 45. You're a liability to them. They think you're going to slip off a ladder and get hurt. That's a problem, But once again, I think they're just looking for disposable manpower, disposable labor. Like I just said, I got off the phone with a contractor. He said to me, Mike, big problem we have is the productivity of the new workers that are out there aren't the same that we had 10, 15 years ago. And a lot of that to me is we're losing good workers. They're retiring out. We have a slow economy right now. And, you take a guy, if I can work with 2 or 3 apprentices in a month, and I'm working with a guy with me, I got 35, 36 years in the business, I learned a lot. A lot of guys that have worked with me can tell you I know a lot about the industry, but I got lucky. I worked with really skilled workers. I worked with my father, I worked with my grandfather, worked with a lot of my dad's friends. I worked with some people that were former business agents that had their own business, like side companies on the side. We did a lot of side work together. So doing renovations for the Catholic church and people's basements and stuff like that. So by doing that work over the year, I do electrical, plumbing, everything like that. I got to learn that. I learned that from other skilled trade members. And that's the key thing too, is we need to get our guys put together. We need to match these good apprentices with these good mechanics and good companies and get them together, because working with those people is what generates our workforce. And that's what we are at the end of the day. We're just a workforce, guys. That's our product. We sell, everything is a product in life, right? I sell cars, I sell this. We sell skilled labor. That's what we do. We sell safety and we sell skilled labor, right? And we sell production. That is what we sell. And that is our leverage, right? That's how we work with these contractors and developers. We have to sell that product. We have a problem with this affordable housing stuff that's out there. We're not getting that, guys. We're not getting that drywall package. We're not getting it. They can tell you whatever they want. They can put the people at the whistles and blow the numbers. You're not getting those numbers. You might get it on the concrete or the heavy because the numbers are there. But you're up against these companies that are paying nothing in salaries, 20, $30 an hour. So until that problem's fixed, we're not in the realm to compete against them. All right. My question would be, and I bounce it around with an attorney. I think we should need to file on behalf of people, if we don't even do it with the union, a lawsuit against Homeland Security and everything. I think there was a big problem and a big neglect of service by not going after these developers and contractors and going after these jobs where we know undocumented workers are being exploited on these jobs. And it seems to be we punish people, right? Like we have a bunch of our members up on charges. If they forgot to take your name off the list, by the way, if you're working, make sure your name's not on the other work list. They're looking for people and they're looking to bring you up on charges for it. But, we're targeting that. But if we put the same energy in getting these people to do their jobs and go after, but what about the contractor? What about the developer? They're not being held responsible. We'll remove a shop steward from a job for letting people work through lunch because they want to get out early and they want to fight the traffic. Listen, I'm not saying breaking the rules and stuff like that is the right thing to do, but listen, if a guy is working through lunch or taking a late lunch break or an early lunch break so they can work a deal out to get out a little earlier, is that the crime of the century? Come on, guys. We got more important things to worry about in this world and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not going to start throwing things around and things like that. There's more rules being broken around the city than you know what to do with. I mean, to me, that's a waste of our time. But, they focus on things where they can it doesn't make a difference. They target the one person. They seem to target the people that don't play around with them. Like if somebody supports me, like, I got told yesterday by a guy, we had an organizer, we have a delegate calling people that are supporting me because they were making phone calls on my behalf saying, why are you supporting me, blah, 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 saying that I can't run a $9 billion business. Believe me, these guys like Mike Piccirillo, Paul Capurso, Joe Geiger, none of those guys are fucking rock stars. Joe's no fucking rock star. I saw him out in the field. He was no fucking rock star. These guys are put there. Paul's a good guy. I'm not going to say a lot of bad things. I mean, he's probably one of the most productive guys in there. There's other people pulling his strings, why he's doing it. Maybe he doesn't have the full power to do what he needs to do, but he's following barking orders by somebody. I don't know what the whole deal is with him, and I can't put my finger on it. But he's not the worst guy out there by far. But you need people in the room that are gonna. If things aren't working, we need to go in a different direction, right? We need to work with our retirees that are out there. These retirees that we had, having them involved and keeping them involved is key for us, right? We need people that are going to keep us. Listen, you need people in the room, right? That are going to keep you on track, and the people on track that are going to tell you how like it is, or the people you don't have control over, right? If I become an EST and you're working for me, as much as I'm going to tell you guys, listen, speak your mind. We do it respectfully. Do it behind closed doors. What are we going to do? But I want to know if this criticism has to be done. We got to work on things together. But these retirees that are out there, listen, these guys put their time in, and they're retired now. They're going to tell you how it is because, they don't have the handcuffs anymore. I would love to see my retirees working with my organizing department. When we go to these PLA jobs and we go to do our raids, which we will be doing if I get in there. Believe me, these contractors that are playing these games with PLAs, we're going to be walking around. We're going to be checking IDs. We're going to talk to people about what you call prevailing rate laws. We're going to do signature payrolls with the city agencies. We're going to check them, right? Who's the best guy to be working with an organizer that a retired member with 30, 40 years in the business? Guy who collects a pension check every day. You could show the guy standing on a ladder, look what I did. When I was your age, I made the decision. I joined a union. I got my safety training through the union paid for. I ended up with a pension. I ended up with an annuity. I ended up with a brotherhood and sisterhood, people that looked out for me in the industry. That's what separates us, guys. And Johnny Lunchbox out there, the guy out there putting a toolbox on every day, he doesn't know. He's being bullshit by these contractors. And I've had some guys, friends of mine that joined the union in the recent couple of years that told me, Mike, knowing what I know now, I wish I joined the union 10 years ago. And, some people get in and they just have the right mentor pushing them the right decision, and they end up contributing more to the organization. And there's other people that get in the business, they're figuring this out on their own, and it's trial and error. And some of those people get very discouraged, and I understand that. And especially if you're in the union now and the economy is so slow, this is very stressful for somebody. Because I got a guy texting me now, he's third-year apprentice, all he does is office furniture. I'm trying to juggle around trying to find some for office furniture. I can't do it, I'm putting concrete guys on panel system jobs where, guys are giving them a shot. Some people can make it, some people can't. Just because you're a good concrete company, I took everyone has a specialty. I'm an advocate when business is good and business is strong out there. Guys, move around, learn the different trades. When you're on a job and you're doing something, look around, keep your eyes open, talk to people. If you can get an opportunity to jump on something else and get out of your comfort zone, do it. Do it, guys. It's all about networking. All you need in life is opportunity. And opportunity is built off of networking. So you have to give yourself that opportunity. And you're not going to do it sitting in the house. You got to get off your cell phones. You're looking at your phone all day like this. Doesn't get you there. You got to talk to the guy next to you. You got to show up at these union meetings. You got to get involved. When you go down to the school to take a class, bring a notebook with you. Bring an ID card. Make up a business card. When you're talking to the guy next to you, here's my information. We have app things now. We can tap it to our phone and get so stay in contact with people. Get on Facebook. Friend me. Get involved, guys. It's important. These are your livelihoods. The people that are out there that are giving the answers to these questions, they have a hidden agenda, and that hidden agenda is not going to help your parents. They're not going to help your parents that are retired, and it ain't going to help your kids when they're going to the hospital, right? Our medical coverage is what helps us, and it's us protecting what we have that matters, right? What else we got here? So we got the 93% funding. We removed the consent decree. The consent decree was moved for this purpose, guys. This was not done by accident. This has all been planned out carefully. Okay, this is nothing happened overnight. So this is somebody sat down and removed the money from the consent decree so that they could do what they're doing. Because 5-10 years ago, they weren't able to do this. They weren't able to, the consent decree would put a stop on all this. Now they're able to do it. And parties at play made this happen. Makes you all wonder why it's going down, right? We talked about the national pension, right? There's 20 pensions out there. That's something to think about. If they want to drop it down to 4 to 5, that's a big problem, guys. Keep that in mind. So when people ask you tonight, what's the problem? When you go to your union meetings, you want to know where are all these funds? Are the trustees, and who are the trustees that are going to make these decisions? Because it's not us. It's not the delegates that are going to make it. The trustees are going to make it. And believe me, this is all orchestrated. They do it throughout the country. You look at other parts of the country, they wish they had what we have. The only reason we have a one-man, one-vote, we're the only district council in the country that votes on our executive board. We're the only one. Everyone else they're flying out to Vegas right now. They put their ESTs into place and everything like. After this election, that's what will happen. We'll have no more say in the matter. We'll all become Northeast Regional. They'll sell the building. We'll end up with a training school somewhere on Queens for 10 or 15 years, if it's that, maybe even less. They'll probably end up building another facility somewhere in the Northeast somewhere, something similar to what we have in Vegas. This is what I've been told behind the back scenes. And that'll be it. Everybody will be scattered out, and there'll be like zones for each trade, and people from Jersey will be patrolling Staten Island, and who knows how they're going to do it. But when this happens, we'll be out of the game. All right, so they'll have control of it, and that'll be it. And if retirement medical leaves, I think you open up Pandora's box. The retirement medical, at the big point, retirement medical keeps people in the driver's lanes, right? So they, people right now that are working there, right? If you retired, the thing stopping you from working non-union is they could hold. If you get caught, they'll take your lifetime medical away from you, right? That's what they do, right? They bring you up on charges. So if they do that with the merger, what's keeping everyone in the driver's lane? What's keeping one of our guys? It's like, fuck you guys. I put my 30 years in, and when I'm retired, you took my medical away. Well, now I'm going to go to work for fucking Trident. I'm going to go to work for fucking Omnibuild. I'm going to go to work for these guys. What are you going to do to me? Right? What are you going to do to me? You already took my medical away. Can't take my pension away. So now what are you going to do? So we're going to have a free-for-all, They're going to be shooting themselves in the foot. I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of better guys out there, Our biggest problem, guys, is... Oh, shit. Hopefully, hold on. I hit the button by accident. I talked to the people from AAA when I ran this election, right? This is my second or third, right? This will be my third election, the major election. I've been involved in plenty of elections before this, but I've helped people run before. But on average, it's 20-25% of the voting members actually participate in an election, right? We average about 17%, right? So you look at the last election, they had every council member, people that are running the council, all these people are on payroll, right? Getting 2-3 pensions, right? They have a huge advantage over me, right? Because they're all guys in the school, they're being pressured, everyone's got to give $500 toward their campaign. I'm not out there soliciting you people for money. I never asked a fucking dollar from anybody. That's the way it is. But with all that being said, there's a landslide victory in this. We had 17% vote, right? 17% out there, right? So what are we talking about? I got 7% of the vote Paul got 8% of the vote. That's it. That's what won this election. That's it. 7 and 8%. So when I ran an election with Patty Cream, we mailed out almost 19,000 ballots. Right? We got more back. We got 3,400 back. This last election, you got 3,069 votes came back out of like 16,000, 17,000 ballots. So, when I hear guys tell me all the time, oh, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. Well, guess what, guys? Now it made a difference. Listen, you don't believe I'm the right guy to run your council, run your leadership, then vote for them. Listen, I'm not here to beg you for anything, guys. Like, listen, I'm gonna be fucking straight with you. I'm gonna have medical when I retire. Okay, when I leave and put my papers in next year, if it doesn't work out for me, I'll go to work as a safety instructor. I'll go to work somewhere else. I'll survive. Listen, I'm doing this because I know it's right. I know I can sustain the backlash that comes here. A lot of guys don't want to run in an election because they don't want to deal with the stress, right? I go to a meeting, I speak. A lot of guys won't speak in front of people. They're afraid they're going to get blackballed. People are going to come after. But they'll catch me in the bathroom or catch me outside or talk to me in the street, say, Mike, great work. And I get it. It's a lot for someone to get involved. You got a wife and kids at home. Nobody wants to take the bullets. Nobody wants to be on the infantry, right? Like my father used to say, you're better off in the back of the bus or the middle bus. You get on the front of the bus, too much can go wrong. And he's 100% right when he told me that, because I see what they're saying now. Like a lot of these guys, the Eddie McWilliams, the John Sheehy's, they survived the hit, right? They worked down it, they had great gigs, They ran what they want, but they never stepped up their plate. They didn't want to run for EST. Eddie was like, fuck that. I'm the head of the organizing department, which was probably one of the most powerful positions to have at that time. But why would you put your head on the chopping block and make the decisions upstairs? It's a thankless job, guys. I'll tell you that right now. You get a job like that, I get in there. For every one guy that's saying, oh, Mike, that a boy doing a great job, I'll have 3 guys going, fuck you, for no reason. It's a thankless job, But I think at the end of the day, you need someone in the room that's going to take into consideration the membership, their families, their kids, and the overall thing about it. And listen, tough decisions have to be made down there. We need to consolidate. We need to consolidate our spending. We need to consolidate how we go after the work, how we police our PLA jobs, how we police our jurisdiction. We need to reinvent ourselves and make things work. And things that aren't working need to be redone. And holding everyone accountable is how we do it, right? And we kick it from day one, bro. Listen, everyone's a fresh start, guys. We all get a fresh start down there. The ones that don't want to do it and they can retire, you go retire. Enjoy your life. Listen, you got what you got out of the game, but let's get the young bloods in there. Let's get the people in there, guys. I appreciate everyone who wants to stick around. Let's try to make it better. I think there's a lot of people down there that want to do the right thing. They want to have an opportunity to run the show. For what I'm hearing, there's other tickets that are going to be running this election. And you know what, guys? I honor that. I want you guys to run. If you guys are out there and you think that what I'm saying is not true and what they're not saying is true, by all means, get your team together, get your signatures, and run in this election. You have every right, just like I do, to get out and express yourself. Don't be afraid to get out and tell you. Listen, this is your business. This is your livelihood. This is your union. Don't let any of them believe that they're in charge. Half these guys that are down there are puppets. They were put there because they're puppets. Okay, they were put there because someone can pull the strings on them, and that's why they're there. And they get great paydays, and half these guys would never put on a tool belt and make it the real world. That's why they're there. So, with that being said, guys, listen, get to your meetings, ask your questions, listen to their stories, but keep your eyes open, your ears open when they're telling you, and look at the person who's telling you what they want you to hear. Okay, they're going to sell something to you, but know a greasy car salesman when they're selling you a fucked up car. All right, guys, just know who's selling you the car. Right, understand that when they try to tell you that this is a good deal, that they're going to save us money. They're going to save us money. All right. They're going to take a fund that's 98% funded, and now they're going to save us money. All right. Now they're worried about saving us money. So I'm great. I'm great that everyone from the Northeast and out West and California and Vegas are all coming here to save us money. Thank God. Thank God. They're gonna give us a coupon. We're going to figure out how to make it work. Meanwhile, we have the lowest retirement in the country. We have full medical for retirees in the country. But they're coming here to make things better for us. Go figure that one out, guys. Don't know what you're dealing with out there and know what their game plan is. Once again, guys, keep sending in your questions. Anything you have that you want to keep private, please, I don't have time to compact everyone and email back to get answers. Tell me what I can use and what I can't use. if it's the personal stuff you want to talk about your kids or a medical issue, I need you to write that in your text message. Mike, you can use this. Mike, please don't use my name. Just say the local, or just keep an alias. I'm fine with that. I don't care. But some people are expressing to me that they want me to use their name. So put that in the thing and let me know, because I know it's personal stuff and medical issues and some people are dealing with, and listen, we all deal with mental stress, and we deal with children that have that are dealing with the, how can I put it without saying too, with drug issues, right? I don't want to say anything, and they dealt with other issues along the way that accommodate to it. I don't want to say too much about what the story I was given, because it was a little shocking when I heard it, and because of that, those people are medications and they deal with things for the rest of their life, and that's why they're concerned about what's going to happen, what the daughter went through and everything in life. So, but these are important stories, and members need to hear this, and we all need to hear it, because we need to understand that. I talked to a member yesterday whose wife was broke her neck and was paralyzed, and he had to leave work early. It's like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this industry, and we all get up in the morning, we all think about our problems, and there's people out there who have bigger problems than us, and they join a union, they're part of it, and we can't forget them, and we can't forget their families. So we have an obligation to them, and I just ask for the opportunity to be that person up there that's going to fight for that. And you got my word on it, guys. I'm not gonna, I'm taking this on, and a lot of people think I'm crazy, and I probably am a little crazy, because who in their right mind would do this, right? But you got to be a little crazy to do this. You can't be totally normal. You got to be nuts. So, but being nuts sometimes is a good thing. So, all right, guys, listen. Enjoy the rest of your day. You get a chance to just comment. Don't be afraid to send me those emails. If you're an apprentice out of work, you're still looking for work, reach out to me. I'm still trying to put some guys to work at the airport and a couple other jobs that are out there. And listen, have a good one, all right? Talk to you all soon. Bye.